To me, beautiful is a feeling. It's the way that we feel about ourselves when we feel happy and satisfied about who we are. It's the way that we feel when we see something incredible, like a beautiful sunset or a beautiful view. Beautiful is something that we carry, each one individually, inside of us. The girls asked me, in the first school that I was teaching at in New York City, the girls in 8th grade asked me if I would be willing to do a class with them that was just for girls. And I agreed, and I was really nervous, and it was incredible. It was incredible to see how they felt safe and comfortable to talk to each other. It was also amazing for me to see the way I was able to hold the space for them and help them feel safe. And I understood that I have a gift to bring to them. And I was inspired, and so were they. And that's affected everything that I've done in my career since. Of course, my mom. She was an incredible role model, and really she taught me to be the woman that I am today, but without ever telling me what to do, just by living the example, the incredible example that she lived. I was also really inspired by my grandmother, my Grandma Rose, my dad's mom. She was a real matriarch. She never finished high school, and she was always ashamed of that. But at the same time, she could command the attention of a huge room full of people and inspire them to follow a cause or to support an idea. And then would come home and cook these incredible, delicious meals for our humongous extended family and host everyone in her home and manage all of the complicated relationships between the people, and was very generous with her love, but also tough, and I really admired that. And I was also really inspired by Sandra Day O'Connor, because when I was small I thought that I was going to be a justice of the Supreme Court, so I admired Sandra Day O'Connor. Language has power, and the way that we speak about ourselves has a very big impact on the way we feel about ourselves and the way we see other people. So if I use language that's critical and judgmental, I carry that criticism and judgment inside me. If I look in the mirror and I don't like what I see, and I say, oh my God, I'm so fat, then I carry the pain of that judgment with me for the rest of the day, or longer than that. But if I look in the mirror, and even though I might not like what I see, I can say, I think I need to work out more, or I'd like to eat healthier. Those statements have a different impact than the criticism and judgment of the previous statement. Language has a huge connection to how we feel about ourselves, so it's important to pay attention to the way that we speak. I think that any time we're in a moment of transition in our lives, we inherently face challenges. And so when we're teenagers, we want to let go of being children, and we're in the transition to becoming adults. We want to be independent, but we're not entirely ready to be fully independent. We are trying to define ourselves, but we're still really deeply influenced by all of the various forces in our lives, culture, parents, friends. And for girls in particular, this is exceptionally challenging. The way that women are portrayed in the media in such an objectified, sexualized way teaches girls that our bodies, our appearances, are our greatest asset. And in order to play that asset up, we have to sexualize ourselves. And that's usually not comfortable or appropriate for most teenage girls. And that's how they think they have to behave. On social media, the impact is exponential. Girls posting pictures of themselves in really sexualized poses when they themselves aren't really ready to be sexual yet. How can we expect girls to grow up to be confident women when we teach them to flaunt their appearances in this way? We really need to rethink the way we teach our girls to represent themselves. Pay attention to the way that you see yourself and talk about yourself. Appreciate and compliment the people around you. If you see beauty in one of your friends, tell her that you think she's beautiful. That will be something that she can carry with her for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. Be a model of self-esteem for others. Know what you're proud of about yourself, and don't be afraid to share that with the people around you. Know that you're beautiful and carry that with you every day. Women are the keepers of the sacred arts that beautify our lives. In many ancient cultures, women would embroider secret designs into their clothing and into objects that they would create to beautify their homes and make things for their families. The elder women in their communities would initiate girls, usually upon their first menstruation, to help them understand what it meant to honor their sexuality, to honor their body and to honor the body of their partner and come together in a sacred way. Today, we have gained so many rights, and we work and walk alongside the men, which is incredible. And at the same time, I fear that that has almost led us to lose that which is uniquely of the women. We need to remember how to come together in circles that cultivate women's creativity to support our health and our well-being. Start your day by looking in the mirror and smiling at yourself, affirming who you are. Compliment your friends and encourage self-esteem and empowerment in the circle that you surround yourself with. Notice the language that you use to talk about yourself and try to use language that's empowering. And remember that your thoughts are important. Speak your mind and know that people will listen to you. The young women I work with are growing up in a world where tons of opportunities are available to women and girls. Things that my grandmother never thought possible are taken for granted by my students. And that's incredible. And I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that have been available to me and to the generations coming after me. I also think that we need to remember that as those opportunities become available, we need to continue to embrace the things that make us different, that which is men and that which is woman on this earth. So working with young women reminds me to appreciate the nuances about the way that I think, the way that I speak, the way that I carry myself, because all of those are defined by the fact that I am a woman. I want to honor that and celebrate that and pass that to my students in everything that I do. By not being afraid to talk about it. Sex is an ever-present aspect of our culture, but we often shy away from talking to girls and boys about healthy sexual expression. As long as we continue to do that, our young people will receive their first sexual education from images, usually pornographic images, that are often demeaning and degrading to women. We need to be real about the sexual initiations our young people are receiving and respond in a way that actually educates them and teaches them that the subject is not taboo. We need to help our young people cultivate sexual expression that's safe, comfortable, and enjoyable for them. Absolutely. As educators, we have a tremendous impact on the young people who work with us. If we're aware of that impact, then we can help maximize its potential. By having conversations, even among ourselves, about gender, about sexuality, about empowerment, we have an effect on the young people who work with us. By opening those conversations with our students, we have even more of an effect. It's really important for us to be aware of the way that we impact the young people we work with and not be afraid to engage in sometimes challenging issues, because in doing so, we truly help them and truly educate them. I've been working with young women for over 15 years in 3 languages on 4 different continents, and I see that the central issues affecting women and girls, questions about self-confidence, body image, leadership, are the same, and they transcend cultural boundaries. At the same time, women are leading their families. Women's emotional intelligence defines our relationships. We need to cultivate women's leadership in order to have the kind of empathy that will support positive development for every individual. Of course, our parents are our first role models, and they show us an example of what it is to be a man or what it is to be a woman. And then we often define ourselves based on that, either trying to emulate it or understanding exactly what we don't want to be. The way we feel at home also has a huge impact on the way we feel about ourselves. When we feel loved, we learn to love ourselves and grow our self-confidence. As I've said before, when we feel loved, we learn to love ourselves. On the flip side, when we feel judged, we learn to judge and criticize ourselves. Our children need support and encouragement to help them realize their potential in this world. At the same time, boundaries are really useful for them to understand their own limits, which is really important in helping them navigate the complicated world of adolescent relationships. We need to find a balance for our children, to encourage and support them and set limits for them to help them define themselves. We're all together in this mission of raising the next generation. because the children are always watching us to understand what it means to be an adult. When we model self-esteem, we impact children and teach them self-confidence. When we behave in ways that are loving and compassionate, we show children that the other people around us matter. If we all take responsibility for the health and well-being of all the children, then we collectively commit to creating a society where each person is valued, each child understands that he or she is important. Many things. Collaboration with a variety of schools and organizations to help create programs that empower young people. A series of retreats for particularly high school girls about sexuality and cultivating healthy relationships. Work with women in their 20s to help define and support the transition to adulthood. And soon enough, another book.